Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about dividends, tax diversion, real estate, and all the interesting stuff that goes into the fundamentals of making a passive income journey for your own financial independence, guys. So let's jump right into it. Welcome back, passive income investors, to the dividend portfolio update of my FIRE Financial Independence Retire Early journey here. I just bought some BTI the other day. As I'm sure you guys remember, I talked quite a bit about my purchases in my British American tobacco, currently yielding me 7.61%, and I'm currently making roughly $400 a month in dividends. But man, there's been a lot going on with the markets today, guys. A lot of things were in the red starting. If I head on over to the stock twits here, we can see that the SPY and the Vanguard 500, which are the 500 largest companies put into an ETF, have not been doing too well today. But it's kind of neat considering Apple and Microsoft both started the day in the red, and they've actually come back again to pushing all-time highs, which I don't know how else to say it is kind of absolutely absurd. And if we go into my own personal accounts here, we can take a look at these positions like Apple, which we can see is hitting about $2,500 in profit in this account. And we can see Microsoft, which is doing exceptionally well. I'm looking at a 34% current return, which should be a lot higher, and is because the Canadian dollar is something that I talk about a lot. I just talked about this yesterday, and as we can see after the big rally from the day before, the Canadian dollar is now down 0.2 of a cent. So I mean, if this comes back down, we're going to see all of my U.S. holdings go way up in value, which is something I keep talking about a lot. So I mean, the accounts overall today, I'm kind of meh with. We're sitting around 12,300, 12,500. It is where my account loves to be. I'm still waiting for a few more dividends to come in. It looks like I'm not going to be getting much more dividends for the rest of this month. So we're going to be waiting and at least until July for any more real dividends to be coming in. As we take a look here, we can see July is going to be paying out 539 in this account, and in this account 109. So we're going to be bringing about $640, give or take. $50 ish, or $550, or what did I just say there? I'm screwing myself up. So we're going to be bringing in about $650 in dividends, give or take 600, and just right around that mark, $640, which is going to be nice. It's going to be a healthy income for next month, but this month we don't got anything else really paying out. Everything else that was going to pay me this month has pretty much paid me. So we're really waiting for next month, where we're going to be getting payments from Bank of Nova Scotia, Canadian Imperial Bank, Northland Power. A lot of dividends coming in here shortly, guys. Now, as is my last video, because the market's been kind of hitting all-time highs here, guys, and my accounts have been flat. Unfortunately, the Canadian markets haven't done much of anything. It's kind of a shame, really. But the U.S. markets, which is why I focus on U.S. stocks, to kind of, buy and focus on that direction. Now, I want to talk about something else that I think is super interesting, that I find interesting, and something I mentioned briefly at the end of my last video, was looking at finding a way to defer tax income. So I'm fairly fortunate that I've had some really good trades in my my tax-free savings account, which is not this account, but this one here. In this account, because I've had such good capital gains, this account is way higher than it's actually allowed to be. Your TFSA in Canada is only allowed about $60,000, and I've got about $86,000 in equity as of today from capital gains. And the best thing about this is all the money I make off these stocks are completely tax-free. But because I don't have that capability anymore, so what's happening now is, because I've maxed this account out and all my capital gains out of this account are tax-free, and I can't get that feeling anymore because this is all maxed out. I've been buying stocks in this account, but this account I've had to pay tax on, not only from my business income, but from the income I make off these stocks as well. And I'm starting to feel the pain of tax income, and I've come to the realization I need to find a way to defer tax. And I want to talk about other passive income means through dividends. You can get dividends through anything, real estate, even a business you're starting yourself, an online store, even this YouTube channel, which I'm going to kind of tell you should maybe consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy this content, or even consider checking me out on the old Patreon to support my channel, because I don't make a dime off doing any of this. This is what I do completely for free for you guys. So if you want to tip me, you can just support $2 a month. It'd make a real big difference, and it would help motivate me to keep hustling. So moving back here, guys, I want to talk about the only other way I can see of deferring capital and not having to pay tax, and that's through something we all hear rich people talk about, which is real estate. So I have a lot of realtors that hate me right now because they send me emails like this. We can take a look at my Gmail account, and they send me emails, and you're probably looking at some of these numbers with a jaw hitting the floor because these homes aren't cheap. These are homes in the general Toronto area, and this is what the average home costs in Ontario now if you want to live anywhere within an hour of the city. And you can see you don't get a whole lot for $890,000 Canadian, and even if you convert that, it's still about 5 to 600,000 Canadian or US, sorry. And I just want to show you why I'm starting to look out of the country at real estate. And that is because if we go on to the old Zillow here and we look at Vegas, the real estate, one of you guys actually told me not to be buying because real estate in Vegas can be very choppy, as it has a lot to do with people. It can be choppy because when bad times come around and people aren't making money and it's a gambling town, you run into issues with people having to pay rent. You also run into issues with a lot of in and outs because what you get is people that'll gamble. So there's a lot of foreclosures going on. But Arizona is actually one of the fastest growing, and Vegas itself is one of the fastest growing cities in the US, which puts me a lot of interest toward it. And I also have a lot of other interests that kind of tweak me toward Vegas for a few reasons. Not only the fact that the real estate is a heck of a lot cheaper, like $200,000 in Vegas gets you like way more than you'd ever get in Canada. Like I can't even. So this was a home that my mom actually sent me in Canada here, and it's the first home I've seen for $275,000. I want you guys to take a quick peek at this and tell me what you think. So this is kind of like a little cottage home on the lake. It's got a little boat entrance. It's a real. Oh my God, I wish. It'd load a little better here because these images are too clear. But if I just flick through them, you'll get a quick idea, guys. As you can see, it's by a pier in a town where I live, and it's kind of just a small, quaint home. It's got a little boat parking, and the reason I think this is so cheap is because in winter, this is probably like the worst place imaginable to live because you're going to be on a frozen lake, like literally right against it. But it's cheap, and it'd be neat to see what these go for on Airbnb and things like that to see if you can get away with it. And you could probably put a lower ball offer in, but this is cheap. This is cheap for with the area. But again, I'm just looking at it thinking, you know what, it's something where, 6 months out of the year, you might be able to rent it out and it'd be busy. But when winter comes around, and because there's no real parking space with this anywhere, you could see people getting a little skittish. It's not that much square footage. Overall, it's a pretty small property. But when we're talking about numbers here, guys, this is the only property my mom sent me that I've been able to see that's actually not only affordable, but if you rented it out, you could probably make at least, 5 to 10% return on cash flow. But with these states in the U.S., like even in Florida and anywhere else, a lot of you guys, and I want you to let me know in the comment section below, if you live in the U.S., if you're a U.S. subscriber, let me know what you think your personal take is on the real estate in your area. And if you know a nice area, send me a link, help me out here. I'm just looking in Vegas because I am a full-time performer, and I've come to the understanding that if I can find something that I can do an Airbnb with, which again comes with a lot of regulation and rules, in Clark County, which is mostly the main part of Vegas or the southwest part of Vegas, which includes the Strip, which is over this way. Let me find the airport here real quick so I can show you guys what I mean here. So essentially anything on the other side of this highway, what highway am I talking about? Highway 589. Anything on this upper side of this map, I can't do Airbnb with unless I live in the building. There's a lot of regulations, but anything on the other counties, I think if you pay the taxes, which are I think anywhere from 4 to 5% extra on your income, you can do Airbnb. So I'm looking at like these cheap. Sorry guys, I'm kind of clicking things around here. So I'm just looking at like the main Strip area where you're looking at the condos here. You get a lot of options in the downtown core. There's like 54 units in Trump Towers right now that are available that are within reason. With the conversion of the Canadian dollar, you'd probably be looking roughly on one of these $224,000 studio apartments. You'd probably be looking roughly closer to 300,000, give or take 290. So you'd be looking at about a $60,000 down payment with Canadian dollars, and you'd be looking at a lot with the HOA fees. The only thing good about Zillow here is it kind of gives you like the general structure. Like if I can get this to load. Sorry guys, this is really buggy right now, but if we get this to load, we'll go back into one of these just to give you a quick example. So here's Trump Towers. We scroll to the bottom of Zillow here. I like the fact that Zillow gives you the overall monthly payment, and this is really high. $1,713 is pretty high considering I can buy a property in the area for roughly the same price, but because you're not paying the HOA fees. But with the HOA fees, when you pay that, guys, you don't have to deal with maintenance, right? Like you're not dealing with plumbing and things of that nature. But again, you're paying the high fees, so it's maintenance versus fees. It's like, do I want to put the work in myself? I'm going to be paying a lot less, but there's more headaches. And the reason I'm looking at condos specifically, guys, is because I'm a full-time magician. I work in the entertainment industry, especially in weddings and stuff, and I'm thinking that I could offer this as some kind of a package where people can go down, they can do their honeymoons, they can do their bachelorette parties, they can do whatever. I just feel like I'm in a niche industry where if I did Airbnb, like I'm actually in a weird industry where I could actually maybe pull this off and find extra ways to make income off of it. And there is so much availability. You got to be careful with condos. There's a lot of tricky things on the strip with condos, but they're just cheap, guys, in my humble opinion. I mean, look at, here's one for $169,000. Starting, you can rent it out. And the rents in Vegas, look at this, $1,800 to $1,900 a month for the rents, which are really, really healthy. So let's take a look at this one bedroom, and it's already pending. So somebody's already put an offer in on this place. So let's just take a quick look and see what the overall fees and monthly income is going to be. And it looks like they actually haven't kept up too much with the other condos. So let's just take a quick look at the final fees here. So look, $965 a month. Wow. This is cheap to me, guys. I could almost outright afford to buy this, and like it just blows my mind. HOA fees, so those are your hotel fees, which are way less. So essentially I'd be looking at something like this, and just look at these open flats. Wow. Just wow. So yeah, I'd be looking to buy something like this. That's nice. It's close to the strip, preferably walking distance, because you want people to be able to kind of get there closer, take a quick taxi or something just to get downtown. But I think this is a neat idea if you can find a way to make 6 to 10% on the cash flow, guys, and then I have somewhere to defer my own income, because then I can put my income into real estate. If you don't understand what I mean by deferring capital, a lot of people, I hate when people. Well, I hate personally when I have to pay tax. And luckily on this income and all of this, guys, so look at this. Here's GEO Group paying me 8.39%, $521. The only thing I pay on this is the income tax from coming from the U.S., so foreign income tax, which is only like 3%. It's usually 3 to 7% of the income. So if you make $1,000, they might be taking $7 of it. Whoop-de-friggin' do, right? It's the same thing if I'm buying real estate in the U.S., but the thing with me buying real estate in the U.S., I'm paying a little bit more of a premium on the dollar value, but I'm still paying way less than I'm paying in Canada by a long shot. The income is already starting out higher, because you can see the higher rents are already at like $1,500 to $2,000, whereas in Canada here, I would only be able to rent out this apartment for about $1,500 a month, if that, if I was lucky. Actually, I probably wouldn't even get that, because usually the rents around here are around $800 to $1,000, which is insane considering the properties cost around $500,000. So the cash flow in Canada right now is a joke. And I notice a lot of people in the States are holding off on buying real estate, which is really good, because you can see the prices coming down. The biggest risk factor with this is, yes, you're buying in a really risky area if you're buying in Las Vegas. And yes, the biggest risk value would be in the dollar, because say the dollar recovers, the Canadian dollar goes back up, then all of a sudden I'm losing out huge. Because like I said in that last video I made, for every cent, you have 100,000 Canadian dollars, guys, or 100,000 US, every dollar or every cent that the Canadian dollar moves is $1,000 difference on the conversion. So you got to imagine if the Canadian dollar goes up 20 cents, I'll be out $20 to $40,000 on the conversion, which would really be painful buying real estate, but in the U.S. But again, guys, I want you to let me know in the comment section below where you think I should be looking at real estate, because looking in Canada here, I can't afford this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, consider liking and subscribing if you guys are new to this content. And again, let me know, guys. I'm really curious what you think. What are you doing to kind of defer your own capital? Are you putting it in your business? Are you not doing anything to defer your capital? If you work for somebody or an individual, it's going to be kind of hard to defer any capital you are making, because the taxes are automatically deducted. But when you work for yourself, you end up with income. Whatever I hold on to is what I pay tax on. So the government kind of incentivizes you to spend the money. Now, I'm spending it on my business because I'm doing a big feeder show. I'm a full-time magician, and that's going to be a lot of fun, which I got to do some updates on very shortly as well. But essentially, the problem is the government really wants me to get rid of that money, because whatever I hold on to or put into dividend stocks, because I've maxed my tax-free savings account, I can't make any more tax-free dividends. All the money that I'm putting into this new account, I have to pay tax on, and once it's in there, the money it makes me, I also have to pay tax on, and that hurts me inside, guys. So I'm looking for a way to defer capital, either through another business. Maybe I could look for an online store through Empire Flippers is another option as well. But really, I like the idea of real estate, and Vegas is kind of piquing me right now. But again, this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. I'd still have to come up with a decent down payment and an emergency fund just in case issues arise. And there's a lot that goes into this, but this is the starting fundamentals right here, guys. This is where it all begins, with the ideas, and then we set in plans and make things happen. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Stay cool, stay awesome. I look forward to chatting to you real soon.